Pistis Sophia, the text that proves Jesus taught reincarnation, soul cycling through material existence until awakening. What if everything you believed about early Christianity was missing its most crucial piece? Picture this: Jesus teaching for over a decade after his resurrection, revealing cosmic mysteries about a divine feminine force named Sophia, wisdom personified, whose story mirrors your soul's journey. These teachings were deemed too revolutionary, too empowering, and deliberately hidden from view. Right now, we're pulling back the veil on one of history's most profound spiritual secrets. Get ready to discover truths that could transform how you see faith, the universe, and yourself. This isn't just history, it's your awakening. Let's dive in. A forbidden teaching that challenges everything. Imagine discovering a sacred manuscript that completely reshapes your understanding of Christianity. A text so radical that it was buried for centuries, preserved only in whispers and hidden copies. This is the world of Pistis Sophia, an ancient Gnostic treasure that emerged from the mystical landscape of early Egypt, offering a vision of spirituality that feels both ancient and startlingly relevant today. During the 2nd and 3rd centuries, Christianity wasn't the unified institution we recognize now. It was a vibrant tapestry of diverse communities, each exploring different dimensions of spiritual truth. In Alexandria, that magnificent crossroads of philosophy, mysticism, and early Christian thought, something extraordinary was taking shape. Teachers and seekers gathered in intimate circles, sharing teachings that emphasized direct spiritual experience over rigid dogma. They referred to this profound inner knowing as gnosis, a term that describes wisdom gained not through belief alone, but through personal revelation. Within this fertile spiritual landscape, the text we call Pistis Sophia took form. Its very name speaks volumes. Pistis means faith or trust, while Sophia represents divine wisdom. Together, they hint at a beautiful tension, the interplay between surrendering in trust and actively seeking understanding, between falling into confusion and rising toward enlightenment. This isn't your typical gospel narrative focused on moral guidelines or institutional rituals. Instead, it presents Jesus as a cosmic teacher, a guide to the universe's hidden architecture. The manuscript portrays Jesus teaching his disciples, both men and women, which itself was revolutionary for 11 years following his resurrection. Think about that for a moment. 11 years of intimate instruction, revealing layer after layer of cosmic mystery. These weren't simple parables about farming or fishing. These were teachings about the soul's journey through celestial realms, about the forces that keep humanity spiritually bound, and about the path to genuine liberation. At the heart of this text stands Sophia herself, a celestial being whose story reads like the ultimate spiritual allegory. She doesn't fall through sin in the traditional sense. Instead, her descent begins with an audacious desire. She wants to reach the highest divine light through her determination alone. It's a bold move, one that leads her into realms of chaos and confusion. But here's what makes her story so powerful. It mirrors the human experience perfectly. We all know what it feels like to lose our way while reaching for something greater, to find ourselves disconnected from our source while seeking truth. This ancient text survived against all odds. While many similar manuscripts were destroyed during early Christianity's consolidation of power, a single Coptic copy endured the centuries. Discovered in the 18th century, it now rests in the British Museum, a testament to truths that refuse to be silenced. The fact that it survived tells us something important. Some wisdom carries such inherent power that it simply cannot be erased, no matter how determined the opposition. What sets Pistis Sophia apart from the familiar Gospels isn't just its mystical content. It's the worldview it presents. The Gnostic communities who treasured this text believed our material reality was shaped by a lesser creator they called the demiurge, not inherently evil, but limited, unaware of the greater divine reality beyond itself. Their vision of Jesus wasn't about establishing churches or hierarchies. It was about igniting that divine spark within each person, awakening them to their true spiritual nature. One of the most striking elements in this text is how it elevates Mary Magdalene. She emerges not as a background figure or a repentant follower, but as a spiritual powerhouse. She asks penetrating questions that demonstrate deep understanding. She interprets Jesus' teachings with insight that earns his highest praise. In one memorable passage, she steps forward boldly to offer her understanding, and Jesus responds by calling her blessed and affirming her spiritual vision. This portrayal directly contradicts later traditions that marginalize women's voices in Christianity, revealing an earlier faith where spiritual authority wasn't determined by gender. The text also describes an intricate spiritual cosmology. After death, according to these teachings, the soul embarks on a journey through celestial gateways, each guarded by powerful beings called archons. Passing through requires sacred knowledge, not passwords in the literal sense, but states of consciousness, levels of awareness, and inner purification. This concept echoes ancient Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife journey, but reimagines them through a lens that emphasizes internal transformation rather than external rites. Sophia's 13 laments form the emotional core of the entire text. These aren't just poetic expressions of sorrow. They're a spiritual map, tracing the path from despair toward illumination. Each lament represents a shedding of illusions, pride, fear, attachment to material things, ignorance about one's true nature. Through these cries of longing, Sophia demonstrates how the soul can navigate its way back from darkness toward divine light. Jesus interprets each lament for his disciples, using them as teaching moments to explain the cosmic landscape, the various eons or spiritual realms, the forces governing them, and the mechanisms of spiritual transformation. This isn't a simplistic story of good battling evil. It's a sophisticated exploration of consciousness, showing how even celestial beings can become entangled in confusion, and how that very confusion becomes the catalyst for deeper understanding. When you read about Sophia's journey, you're not just learning mythology. You're encountering a mirror for your spiritual quest, those moments when you felt lost, those times when you've cried out for guidance, and those breakthrough moments when clarity suddenly illuminates your path. The survival and rediscovery of Pistis Sophia invites us to reconsider what was lost when Christianity narrowed its focus. What other perspectives were suppressed? What dimensions of spiritual truth were set aside in favor of institutional unity? These aren't just historical questions. They're deeply personal ones, asking us to examine what we've been taught and whether there might be more to the story, more ways to understand our connection to the divine, more paths toward genuine awakening. The divine feminine and the cosmic story of creation. To truly grasp what makes Sophia's narrative so transformative, we need to understand the spiritual worldview that birthed it. The Gnostic communities who preserved these teachings weren't creating fantasy, they were mapping consciousness itself, using cosmic mythology to describe the soul's journey through existence. In Gnostic understanding, ultimate reality begins with something beyond all comprehension, often called the ineffable, the monad, or simply the one. This isn't a deity in the conventional sense, not male or female, not even being as we understand it. It's a transcendent fullness from which everything emanates, like light radiating from an infinite source. This divine completeness, called the pleroma, consists of paired spiritual forces called eons emanations, representing different aspects of divine nature, each one both masculine and feminine in perfect balance. Sophia emerges within this divine framework as the youngest eon, embodying wisdom, creativity, and an intense curiosity about existence itself. Unlike the other eons who remained content in their harmonious state, Sophia felt an overwhelming desire to comprehend the ultimate source directly. Scholar Elaine Pagels describes this beautifully. Sophia represented intuitive wisdom, that flash of knowing that comes from within, as distinct from systematic, rational comprehension. Both aspects are divine, both essential, but Sophia's nature was to leap toward truth rather than proceed methodically. Here's where the story takes its fateful turn. Driven by this passionate yearning, Sophia made an unprecedented choice. She attempted to create something independently, without her divine counterpart, without the balanced participation that characterized all other creative acts in the pleroma. This wasn't rebellion or sin in the traditional sense. It was an imbalanced creative impulse, an act of solo ambition that disrupted cosmic harmony. From this unbalanced creation emerged a being utterly unlike anything that had existed before and complete, ignorant of its origins, yet possessing tremendous creative power. The ancient texts call this being Yaldabaoth, often depicted with a lion's face and a serpent's body. This was the demiurge, a false creator who would go on to fashion our material cosmos without understanding that he himself was merely a fragment of something infinitely greater. The tragedy deepened when Sophia, recognizing what she had created, cast Yaldabaoth away from the divine realms, surrounding him with a luminous cloud so the other immortal beings wouldn't see him. But in doing so, she became divided. Part of her divine essence remained trapped within her flawed offspring, while her higher consciousness stayed in the pleroma. This cosmic fragmentation mirrors what so many of us experience, that sense of being split, of having lost something essential, while pieces of our true nature remain scattered in the confusion of daily existence. With a portion of his mother's divine power but completely ignorant of his origins, Yaldabaoth proceeded to create. He fashioned archons, cosmic rulers, to govern alongside him, and built an entire material universe as an unconscious imitation of the divine realms he dimly sensed but couldn't comprehend. Then came his ultimate declaration of cosmic ignorance: I am God, and there is no other God besides me. This statement represents one of the most revolutionary theological insights in Gnostic thought. The deity who demands exclusive worship, who exhibits jealousy and requires blood sacrifice, who punishes with flood and fire, this isn't the true divine source. This is Yaldabaoth, an ignorant pretender unaware of the transcendent reality beyond himself. For Gnostics, this explained the apparent contradictions in Scripture. Why the God of certain Old Testament passages seemed wrathful and possessive, while Jesus spoke of a God of boundless, unconditional love. These weren't the same being. The material world, then being Yaldabaoth's creation, exists as a mixture containing both the ignorance and limitation of its creator and the divine, light of Sophia trapped within it. Within human beings themselves exist these sparks of divine consciousness, fragments of Sophia scattered throughout creation. This is why we feel that inexplicable longing for something more, that sense that we don't fully belong to the material world. We carry within us actual particles of divine light, yearning to return home. The central drama of Gnostic spirituality becomes clear. The redemption of Sophia means recovering her fragmented divine essence from the material world and restoring her to wholeness in the pleroma. And here's the beautiful connection. When humans awaken to their true divine nature, when they achieve gnosis, that direct spiritual knowing, they're simultaneously participating in Sophia's cosmic redemption. Your spiritual awakening isn't just personal, it's cosmic. You're literally helping restore divine consciousness to its source. Sophia's 13 laments, those poetic cries preserved in the text, aren't just expressions of sorrow. They're a roadmap. Each lament represents a stage of awakening, a layer illusion being peeled away. In one particularly moving passage, she cries out, "O light of lights, do not abandon me in this chaos. Your radiance is my hope." These words resonate across millennia because they express what every seeker has felt in moments of spiritual darkness, that desperate reaching toward truth when everything else seems to dissolve. Jesus appears in this cosmic drama not as a sacrifice to appease an angry father, but as an emissary from the pleroma itself sent specifically to awaken humanity to its divine nature and guide Sophia's scattered sparks back to their source. In Pistis Sophia, he's portrayed as Sophia's spiritual counterpart, her divine twin. His mission is restoration, not punishment, bringing the divine feminine back to her rightful place in the cosmic order. This understanding completely transforms how we view spiritual teaching. Jesus isn't establishing himself as an object of worship. He's pointing beyond himself to the divine spark within each person. As one Gnostic text beautifully states, "You saw the Spirit, you became Spirit. You saw Christ, you became Christ." The goal isn't faith in an external Savior, but transformation into Christ consciousness, awakening to your divine nature. What makes this mythology so psychologically profound is how perfectly it mirrors human experience. Sophia's fall wasn't a moral failure, but a passionate overreach, a desire to know that exceeded safe boundaries. Her redemption isn't about punishment, but about recovering wholeness, reintegrating fragmented consciousness. We've all experienced this, reaching for something greater and losing our balance, feeling separated from our source, carrying within us an intuition of some greater wholeness we can't quite grasp. The path forward, these teachings suggest, lies in recognizing our true nature. We're not merely physical beings occasionally having spiritual experiences. We're divine consciousness temporarily experiencing material existence, carrying within us the very essence of Sophia herself, capable of awakening and returning to our source. When divine wisdom was silenced, the suppression of Sophia's story isn't just an intrahistorical footnote. It is a deliberate transformation that fundamentally shaped Western spirituality for nearly 2,000 years. Understanding why these teachings were buried helps us recognize what was lost and what is at stake in recovering them today. In Christianity's first 3 centuries, the landscape of faith looked radically different from what emerged later. Imagine a time when Christianity was more like a vibrant conversation than a fixed doctrine where different. Communities explored various dimensions of Jesus, teachings where mystical experience mattered as much as belief, and where women could serve as prophets, teachers, and spiritual leaders. Sophia was honored across many of these early communities as a divine feminine principle, not merely symbolic, but an actual living presence embodying wisdom, intuition, and the creative force bridging divine and human realms. Texts like Pistis Sophia, the Apocryphal of John, and the Gospel of the Egyptians portrayed her as central to understanding creation, fall, and redemption. Her story wasn't peripheral. It was foundational. But as Christianity began its transition from a persecuted minority movement to imperial religion, everything changed. Leaders became increasingly concerned with establishing clear boundaries, creating hierarchical authority structures, and enforcing conformity of belief. The Bishop Irenaeus, writing around 180 CE, systematically attacked Gnostic interpretations in his work Against Heresies, arguing for a single orthodox understanding governed by apostolic succession, an unbroken line of male bishops supposedly extending back to the original apostles. This emerging orthodoxy was distinctly patriarchal in structure and theology. The divine became conceptualized exclusively in masculine terms: God the Father, God the Son, with authority flowing from the divine Father through earthly fathers, bishops, and priests. Women found themselves increasingly excluded from leadership roles, their spiritual authority questioned and diminished. The divine feminine, so central to Gnostic understanding, began its systematic disappearance from Christian theology. Why was this suppression so thorough and deliberate? The answer involves both theology and power. The complex Gnostic cosmology, with its multiple divine emanations and its critique of the creator deity, threatened the emerging narrative of a single male god whose authority was mirrored in the exclusive authority of male church leaders. If ultimate reality included feminine as well as masculine aspects, if God could be understood as mother as well as father, then the patriarchal structure of church authority lost its divine justification. Even more threatening was the Gnostic emphasis on direct spiritual knowledge. If salvation came through personal gnosis rather than institutional mediation, what need was there for bishops claiming exclusive interpretive rights over Scripture? If anyone could potentially access divine wisdom directly, regardless of gender or position, then the hierarchical power structure being constructed had no theological foundation. The social implications were revolutionary. Gnostic communities often honored women as spiritual equals. Mary Magdalene emerged in their texts not as a repentant sinner, but as Jesus' most spiritually advanced disciple, the one who understood his teachings most deeply. Teachers like Marcellina in the 2nd century and prophetic leaders like Priscilla spread Gnostic teachings, embodying Sophia's wisdom in their ministries. Their reverence for the divine feminine as an actual force rather than mere metaphor clashed directly with the patriarchal framework gaining dominance. The triumph of Orthodox Christianity was sealed when Emperor Constantine converted in the early 4th century. With imperial power backing a specific theological vision, alternative forms of Christianity faced systematic suppression. The Council of Nicaea in 325 CE established official doctrine, and subsequent imperial edicts made deviation from this doctrine not just heresy, but a crime against the state. By the end of the 4th century, the suppression reached its climax. Bishop Athanasius issued his famous Eastern letter in 367 CE, listing the officially approved books of the New Testament and ordering the destruction of all heretical texts. It was likely in response to this letter that monks near Nag Hammadi in Egypt gathered their precious Gnostic manuscripts, sealed them in a jar, and buried them in the desert, where they remained hidden until their remarkable discovery in 1945. The erasure was nearly complete. For over 1,500 years, Christianity developed along exclusively patriarchal lines, with the divine feminine almost entirely absent from its theology, rituals, and power structures. The God worshipped in cathedrals across Europe and in colonial missions worldwide was exclusively father and son, a divine family strangely missing its feminine members. Yet the divine feminine couldn't be entirely erased. Like underground rivers flowing beneath desert sands, Sophia continued to manifest in various forms throughout Christian history. The Holy Spirit, called Ruach in Hebrew, grammatically feminine word, retained feminine associations in early Syrian Christianity, described as nursing believers at her milk-filled breasts. Though this feminine understanding was lost as Christianity spread into Greek and Latin contexts, the Holy Spirit's role as comforter and life-giver carried implicit feminine qualities. Even more significant was the gradual elevation of Mary, Jesus' mother, to increasingly exalted status. Though officially always subordinate to her son, Mary began absorbing many attributes and functions previously associated with goddess figures throughout the Mediterranean world. By the medieval period, she had acquired titles echoing Sophia's: Queen of Heaven, Seat of Wisdom, Mother of God. The magnificent cathedrals dedicated to Notre Dame, Our Lady Across Europe featured rose windows and sacred geometry that encoded feminine divine principles into the very architecture of worship. This great flowering of Marian devotion in the 12th and 13th centuries represented a partial return of the divine feminine to Christian spirituality, albeit in a carefully constrained form that didn't challenge patriarchal theology. Mary could be honored as Queen of Heaven, but she remained human, not divine. She could intercede, but not command. She could nurture, but not create. Meanwhile, in Jewish mysticism, particularly in Kabbalistic thought, the Shekinah emerged, the indwelling presence of God, explicitly feminine, sharing many attributes with the Gnostic Sophia. She too was described as being in exile, separated from her divine consort, with her redemption tied to human spiritual practice. This striking parallel suggests hidden continuities between Gnostic thought and later mystical traditions. The systematic suppression of the divine feminine in Western Christianity has had profound consequences. When divinity is imagined exclusively in masculine terms, it subtly but powerfully reinforces patterns of male dominance in human affairs. The recovery of Sophia isn't about replacing male-dominated theology with female-dominated theology. It's about recovering wholeness, recognizing that the divine, like humanity, expresses through both masculine and feminine principles working in creative harmony. Navigating the soul's journey through cosmic realms, one of the most fascinating aspects of Pistis Sophia is its detailed spiritual cartography, a comprehensive map of the soul's journey through multiple layers of reality. This isn't the simple heaven and hell binary that later Christianity settled into. Instead, the text presents an intricate, multi-dimensional cosmos that offers profound insights into consciousness itself and the path of spiritual transformation. Jesus, in his role as cosmic teacher, describes a universe structured in concentric layers, each vibrating at a different spiritual frequency. At the highest level exists the ineffable, the unknowable source of all light, beyond description, beyond conceptualization. Below this ultimate reality lie various eons, spiritual realms of increasing purity and proximity to the divine source. Sophia once inhabited the 13th eon, a realm close to the ultimate divine but still distinguishable from it. Below these higher realms lie the territories governed by archons and the demiurge, the material world we inhabit, created by a limited being who mistakes himself for the ultimate deity. This cosmology frames our physical existence as a temporary condition, a kind of spiritual schooling rather than our permanent home. The material world isn't intrinsically evil, a crucial distinction, but it is mixed, containing both the limitations of its flawed creator and the divine sparks of Sophia scattered throughout. We're like diamonds buried in mud, our true brilliance obscured but never destroyed by the confusion surrounding us. The soul's journey after death becomes a central teaching in the text. Jesus explains that when we leave our physical bodies, we don't simply float to a single heavenly realm. Instead, we encounter a series of celestial gateways, each one guarded by an archon who demands something specific for passage. These aren't arbitrary obstacles or malicious barriers. They're tests of consciousness, requiring sacred knowledge for navigation. But here is what makes this teaching so profound: the sacred names or spiritual passwords. The archons demand aren't literal words you memorize. They're states of consciousness, levels of awareness, degrees of inner purification. Each gateway represents shedding another layer of illusion, pride, fear, attachment to material things, and identification with the false self. The archons, in this sense, aren't villains, but gatekeepers maintaining cosmic order, ensuring that only consciousness sufficiently purified and awakened can ascend to higher realms. This process mirrors the journey Sophia herself undertook. Her 13 laments serve as a spiritual curriculum, each one representing a stage of awakening. In the first laments, she's consumed by despair, feeling utterly lost in chaos. Gradually, through successive cries for help and moments of recognition, she begins shedding her illusions. Each lament peels away another false understanding, another limiting belief, another attachment keeping her bound to lower realms. Jesus interprets each of Sophia's laments for his disciples, using them as teaching opportunities to explain the cosmic architecture. He describes the eons as living realities, not just abstract concept realms where different aspects of divine consciousness express themselves with increasing clarity and purity. He explains the forces governing each realm, the qualities required to navigate them, and the transformations necessary for ascent. The text introduces complex spiritual hierarchies that can seem bewildering at first. The first mystery, the 24th mystery, the treasure of light, entities like the great invisible and the five helpers. While Jesus shares considerable detail about these structures, he also withholds certain information, suggesting that complete understanding comes through inner revelation rather than intellectual mastery alone. This selective teaching reflects the Gnostic conviction that spiritual knowledge is fundamentally experiential. You can fully grasp it by reading or hearing about it. You must awaken to it directly. The rituals described in Pistis Sophia aren't external ceremonies requiring priests or special locations. They're internal processes, seals of light that represent states of consciousness rather than physical sacraments. This emphasis on inner transformation over external tradition marks a radical departure from the institutional religion that would later dominate Christianity. Salvation isn't something done for you by clergy performing rites. It's something you awaken to within yourself. What makes this cosmic map so relevant today is its psychological resonance. These aren't just ancient mythological structures. They're descriptions of consciousness itself. The archons represent both external systems that keep us unconscious social conditioning, limiting beliefs imposed by authority, materialistic values, and internal obstacles like fear, ego attachment, and spiritual laziness. The celestial gateways mirror the thresholds we must cross in any genuine spiritual journey, moments when we must choose between comfortable illusion and uncomfortable truth, between remaining who we've been and becoming who we truly are. Mary Magdalene's prominent role in these teachings deserves special attention. She doesn't just listen passively. She actively interprets, questions, and demonstrates understanding that often surpasses her male counterparts. At one point, Peter, representing rigid institutional authority, challenges her prominence, questioning why Jesus grants her such attention. Jesus' response is telling. He defends her insight, affirming that spiritual understanding is undetermined by gender or position, but by the quality of one's awareness. This tension between Mary and Peter appears in multiple Gnostic texts, representing a broader conflict between experiential, mystical spirituality embodied by Mary and institutional, authority-based religion represented by Peter. The fact that institutional Christianity eventually marginalized Mary while elevating Peter isn't historically neutral. It reflects a deliberate choice about what kind of spirituality would be considered legitimate. The teaching suggests that our struggles aren't random or meaningless. When you feel disconnected, when life seems chaotic, when you wrestling with difficult emotions or confusing situations, these are signs that something is wrong with you. They're part of the process. Like Sophia descending into chaos, we sometimes must journey through darkness to rediscover light. Like the soul navigating celestial gates, we face tests that reveal what we still need to release or understand. This cosmic map offers something rare in religious teaching, a framework that honors the difficulty of spiritual transformation while insisting on its possibility. It doesn't promise that awakening will be easy or that the path will be straightforward. It acknowledges that we'll face genuine obstacles, both external and internal. But it also affirms that we carry within us everything necessary for the journey, that divine spark, that fragment of Sophia herself that can guide us through every gateway and past every guardian. The practical implication is profound. Your spiritual journey isn't about becoming something you're not. It is about remembering what you are, about clearing away the accumulated layers of illusion until your essential divine nature shines through. Each challenge you face is an opportunity to shed another false identity, another limiting belief, another attachment to what's temporary. Each moment of clarity is a small redemption, a fragment of Sophia's light being restored to its source. The text challenges us to map our spiritual journey with honesty and courage. Where are you right now in your ascent? What illusions are you still carrying? What gateways are you being called to pass through? What aspects of your false self are you being invited to release? These aren't abstract theological questions. They're intensely practical inquiries into the actual state of your consciousness right now. The light returns, awakening to your divine nature. The most powerful scene in Pistis Sophia occurs when Jesus, after 11 years of post-resurrection teaching, experiences a profound ascension. On the 10th day of the month of Tebet, beneath a full moon, a radiant force descends from the heavens with an intensity beyond description. This light, emanating from the first mystery and the treasure of light, envelops Jesus in brilliance so overwhelming that his disciples cannot see him. As he ascends, the entire cosmos responds. Eons tremble, archons shake, earthly realms convulse in cosmic upheaval, reflecting the transformative power radiating through all levels of existence. The disciples, gripped by fear and uncertainty, weep. They don't know if this signals destruction or revelation, ending or beginning. But at the 9th hour of the following day, Jesus descends again, his radiance even more intense than before. This time his light appears in 3 distinct types, each surpassing the previous in splendor. Recognizing their fear, he reassures them with words that echo across spiritual traditions. Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid. At their request, he dims his brilliance, allowing them to approach and ask about his journey. Jesus explains that he has received his vestment of light from the first mystery, a divine empowerment, enabling him to reveal the complete truth without veils or metaphors. From this moment forward, he speaks plainly, unveiling cosmic mysteries from the innermost to the outermost realms, holding nothing back. This scene marks a turning point not just in the narrative, but in understanding the text's entire message. Jesus reveals something extraordinary to his disciples. The divine powers within them, sparks from the treasure of light, were placed there before their birth, designating them as agents of awakening for the world. He recounts his cosmic journey in vivid detail, taking the form of the angel Gabriel to enter the material world, infusing John the Baptist with the spirit of Elijah, preparing Mary his mother with divine power. These acts underscore the Gnostic understanding that spiritual destiny isn't random. It's woven into your existence from the beginning, waiting to be recognized and activated. The ascension narrative serves as more than spectacular imagery. It's a symbolic representation of what's possible for every soul. Jesus' light isn't just something to admire from a distance. It's a mirror reflecting the potential dwelling within you. Like Sophia rising from her fall, like Jesus ascending in blazing radiance, you too are called to reclaim your divine essence, to navigate whatever obstacles stand between you and your true nature, to remember what you've always been beneath the accumulated layers of forgetting. This is where the teaching becomes intensely personal. The text message cuts through abstraction. Salvation isn't a gift bestowed by external authority. It's a truth remembered, an awareness awakened, a light that was never actually extinguished but merely obscured. When you embrace gnosis, that direct experiential knowing of your divine nature, you align with the same light Jesus embodies. You become a co-creator in the restoration of divine order, participating actively in the cosmic return of consciousness to its source. What does this mean practically, right now, in your actual life? It means that every moment of genuine awareness, every instance when you see through illusion to truth, every time you choose consciousness over unconsciousness, these aren't small personal victories. They're cosmic events. You're literally liberating fragments of divine light, contributing to Sophia's redemption and your own simultaneously. The teaching empowers rather than diminishes. You're not a helpless sinner needing rescue. You're a divine being temporarily experiencing limitation, carrying within you the very essence of creative wisdom, fully capable of awakening and transformation. The archons you face, whether external systems or internal fears, can be transcended through awareness and courage. The celestial gates blocking your path can be opened through understanding and purification. Mary Magdalene's role throughout these teachings offers a model for spiritual awakening. She doesn't accept teaching passively. She questions, interprets, and demonstrates profound understanding. When Jesus praises her, calling her blessed and affirming her spiritual vision, he's not just honoring one person. He's validating a way of engaging spirituality, curious, bold, intuitive, willing to trust inner knowing even when it challenges conventional authority. This brings us to perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of these teachings: their inherent egalitarianism. Spiritual authority in Pistis Sophia isn't determined by gender, social position, or institutional rank. It's determined by the quality of one's awareness, the depth of one's understanding, the authenticity of one's awakening. This wasn't just theory. Early Gnostic communities actually practiced this inclusive spirituality, honoring women as teachers, prophets, and spiritual leaders alongside men. The recovery of these teachings today isn't merely historical curiosity. It is an invitation to reconsider what spirituality can be, how it can honor both masculine and feminine aspects of the divine, how it can value direct experience alongside tradition, how it can empower individual awakening while building genuine community, how it can embrace the material world as a temporary classroom rather than condemning it as inherently evil. Consider what's been lost and what might be recovered. For nearly 2,000 years, Western Christianity developed with the divine feminine almost entirely absent, with institutional authority prioritized over personal experience, with salvation understood as something done for you rather than awakened within you. The rediscovery of texts like Pistis Sophia challenges us to imagine alternative forms of spirituality that balance rather than divide, that empower rather than control, that illuminate rather than obscure. The story of Sophia is ultimately your story. Her fall mirrors every moment you felt separated from your source. Her laments echo every cry for meaning you've ever uttered. Her redemption reflects the possibility available to you right now, the chance to shed illusions, to recognize your true nature, to participate consciously in your own awakening. You carry within you fragments of divine light. Not metaphorically, actually, the same creative wisdom that birthed the cosmos flows through your consciousness when you allow it. Jesus' ascension in blazing light symbolizes what happens when that divine essence is fully recognized and expressed. His return to teach plainly, without veils, represents the moment when truth becomes accessible, not hidden behind priestcraft or institutional gatekeeping, but available to anyone willing to look within with courage and honesty. This is the heart of Pistis Sophia's message. You're not waiting for salvation from outside. You're awakening to the light that's been present all along, obscured by layers of forgetting but never actually extinguished. Every question you ask about deeper truth, every moment you resist comfortable illusion in favor of challenging reality, every instance you honor the divine feminine alongside the masculine. Every time you trust your inner knowing, you're participating in the cosmic drama of awakening. The goddess was never truly buried. Sophia was never actually lost. She's been dwelling within, woven into the fabric of your consciousness, waiting patiently for you to remember her presence and awaken to her wisdom. That's what makes this ancient text so powerful today. It points beyond itself to something timeless, to a truth that can transform how you see yourself, your purpose, and your place in the grand unfolding of consciousness, returning to its source. If these revelations have awakened something within you, a spark of recognition, a stirring of ancient memory, a hunger for deeper truth, then your journey is just beginning. We invite you to become part of a growing community of seekers who refuse to accept surface-level spirituality, who are ready to explore the mysteries that were hidden for centuries. Subscribe to our channel and become part of the Lost Gospels of Jesus family, where we continue unveiling forgotten wisdom and suppressed teachings that can transform your spiritual understanding. Hit that bell icon so you never miss a new revelation. Each video is another key unlocking doors that were deliberately closed. Give this video a like if it resonated with your soul, if it challenged what you thought you knew, or if it simply made you think differently about faith, wisdom, and your divine nature. Your likes help this ancient wisdom reach others who are searching for something more authentic, something more empowering than what they've been told. Drop a comment below, share your thoughts, your questions, your own experiences with the divine feminine, or simply type Sophia to honor the wisdom dwelling within you and within all of creation. Let's create a conversation that the early church fathers tried to silence. Your voice matters in this awakening. And share this video with friends, family, or anyone you know who's questioning, searching, or ready to explore beyond conventional religious boundaries. Every share is an act of resistance against the suppression of truth, a way of ensuring that what was buried stays unearthed. Together, we're not just learning about ancient texts. We're participating in a living tradition of awakening, keeping these profound truths alive in a world that desperately needs the balance, wisdom, and empowerment they offer. The light that Jesus embodied, the wisdom that Sophia represents, it's calling to you right now. Answer that call. Subscribe to our channel, The Lost Gospels of Jesus. Engage, share, awaken. Thank you for being part of this sacred journey. Until next time, may the light within you shine ever brighter,